Welcome to TungstenTales, youtube.com/TungstenTales, and with me today I'm very lucky to have Chris Mason. Chris, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Chris obviously works for ITV, and I just wanted to ask him a few questions about the Players' Championships so far. How do you think the tournament's gone?
All right, yesterday was at its moments of, highs and lows, but the first rounds are always dodgy. It's only best of 11. A lot of pressure on the lads. A lot of the lads defending, like Painter was defending 60 grand. So I think he goes down to 21 in the world. So there's players that are trying to go up, and there's players that stop themselves from going down.
What matches are you looking forward to today and potentially tomorrow?
Lewis van Gerwen's going to be pretty good, but I think Lewis wins fairly comfortable. For me, Michael's just gone off the edge a little bit. I think he needs to look more at what he's doing in his preparation before games. I think he's just got to look at what he's doing.
We've seen some names go out already. Do you think that form's going to translate to the World Championships, or can you not read too much into
Longer
that?
format, 5 sets, 5 legs a set. That's a proper game. This is sort of best of 11 is what they play on the Pro Tour, which on the Pro Tour behind closed doors is a relatively long format in the game. So we all started off playing best of 5. So best of 11 sort of a bonus, but on TV it goes like that.
Now, Chris, we know you're a big boxing fan. You box yourself as an amateur. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the talking points in that sport. Frosk v Groves, early stoppage, but was Frosk coming back into the fight?
Yeah, I think so. I think the difference there, for me, if Groves would have had Booth in his corner, he would have told him sort of box clever, keep it long, no need to get involved. But saying that, Groves was getting done by the judges anyway. He was getting nobbled. I mean, if he'd have given him a standing 8 count, if Foster thought he was going to go down from the ropes, could have given him a standing 8 count, seen the end of the round. 2 of the judges would have had Frosk 1 up going into the 10th, which is just scandalous.
What do you think? Like, obviously Sky and Matchroom were promoting the fight, but there was sort of this feeling that Carl Frosk was indestructible. But in that fight, did Groves expose his limitations?
Yeah, well, I'm huge for my Twitter and my social media, and I was saying when the fight was made, I thought Groves won, and everyone thought it was absolutely bonkers. You know what I mean? Why did I think that? Well, because I think Frosk is a decent fighter, but he's not this international mega star in the world of boxing. He's got a great chin, but that means he's got a crap defence. He's got a mediocre jab. His feet are terrible. His balance is terrible, and I don't think he's this mythical puncher that he makes out he is. I mean, he's not stopped anybody that's not been on Queer Street or stopped before. So.
People are talking about him as being one of our greatest super middleweights, up there with Calzaghe. How do you think he ranks with the likes of Calzaghe, Ben, Eubank, those guys?
Yeah, I do struggle. For me, I'd struggle to put him in the top 5.
And Groves, would you like to see a rematch with that fight, or do you want Groves to move on?
Groves has stamina issues, and he always has had in his previous fights when he's been made to go the distance. But there are things that can be addressed. But he was definitely flagging in that fight. You could definitely see, and he didn't empty the tank for me in the first round. He should have gone for it, but they weren't long left, and he had the 6th round where he could have got on him. But I think the tide was definitely turning in the fight. Was it stopped too early? Yeah, but Foster's only 5-10 feet away at time, even closer at times. But I'd like to have seen it. It's a championship fight. It's for 2 belts. They're both experienced boxers. It was stopped too early. It's boxing. It's not a tickling contest.
One of Frosk's sparring partners and good friends, Tony Bellew, is challenging for a world title tonight out in Canada. He's got a tough task against Adonis Stevenson.
Yeah.
How do you see that one going?
Yeah, if you haven't seen the weigh-in, look it up because it's
bit of a brawler yesterday.
It's dramatic. Yeah, he's up again. Nice kid, Tony. You know what I mean? He's a decent boxer. He's probably just slightly above European level, but not quite world level for me. I don't think he punches hard enough. Not that I'd like to be punched off in mine, but yeah, I think Stevenson's a beast.
He operated mainly at super middleweight though, Stevenson. He had that good win over Chad Dawson, first round knockout. Do you think there's a chance that he's maybe being overrated because of that one-punch knockout of Dawson?
No, if you look at his career, he's a banger, a serious banger, and it follows you through as well. There's not a lot of difference really weight-wise in that. And if you can bang at super middle, I mean, you can look at how good Roy Jones was at heavyweight. You know what I mean? If you can bang, I think you can bang, and if you can take a shot, I think you can hold a shot from most weights. And Bellew's not a big puncher anyway, so I don't think he's going to bother him in that department. Don't think he's quick enough. He'd be lucky to see 5 or 6 rounds, I think.
And over here we've got Derek Chisora returning again. He's been quite active recently.
Yeah, I like Dal.
He's a great character, but he's also seems to be taking things a bit more seriously now.
Yeah, I like Dal. It's keeping him at the cake shop, I think. If you can keep him at the cake shop, he's sound. I mean, he looks in incredible shape, and his hand speed, he's punching harder, so that sort of takes that myth of size and weight out of it. You know, his hand speed's better, his movement's better. He looks. You know, I'd like to see this version of Chisora against Tyson Fury, which is a fight I think that's got to be made. It's
got to be made, and the first time around we could all see that Chisora wasn't really
he wasn't in shape, and you know what I mean, he wasn't that much in it for me in that fight. But I think this version of Chisora give Tyson a great fight, and now that David Hayes sort of out of the equation, well, until Vitaly offers him that fight next year. Yeah, I think that's a good fight. Or get Wilder over for Fury. I think that's another potential fight.
Yeah.
Wilder Chisora's a good fight. You know, Malik Scott was highly rated by the Americans. Those of us that know boxing knew what he was all about. But you know, and I think Wilder might be a little bit like that. I think he's chinny and a KO waiting to happen.
He's not had a tough test yet, really.
Well, yeah, there's a guy called Harold Sconiers. It's been actually removed by his promoters off of YouTube. Deontay Wilder's promoter.
Really,
yeah, it was on YouTube.
How early?
And he was absolutely blitzed. It was only, I think it was probably maybe 7-8 fights ago. Wow. I mean, he has fighted so many cab drivers and bus drivers, and yeah, he was absolutely gone. Very much like Hernandez. I think he's operating it like heavy or cruiser. Yeah, he really is chinny, Wilder. Real chin, but he can bang. So if he hits you first, then he wins. But if you catch him, he will go.
David Price, obviously coming off the back of those losses to Tony Thompson, he's signed with the Sauerlands over in Germany. You think it's a good move for him?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I like what the brothers do. They're good promoters. They put on a great show over there. I mean, the Klitschko shows that they've been involved in have been immense. Yeah, and I think he's with Booth, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Price has got all the tools. I mean, he's definitely got the size. He's definitely got power. But just stamina issues and confidence, I think. And I think Adam Booth's a real slick operator. I really like his work.
And the sort of psychology of the sport is into that, isn't he?
I mean, there's no need for someone like Pricey to get involved in a fight.
Yeah.
Just keep it so long. Look what the Klitschkos have done. All right, not the most exciting guys in the world to watch. But, you know, they just keep clicking up the wins. I mean, Vladimir's been undefeated for over 10 years. And it is just an absolute machine.
And let's talk about the very top of the sport. Floyd Mayweather obviously looking great against Alvarez. Khan's talking about that could be a fight for them in May. Just talk a little bit about Mayweather as an athlete, as a sportsman, and then also that potential fight.
Yeah, well, you can sort of, not in their build obviously, but if you look what Phil Taylor's like, he's a pro every day of the week. And Mayweather's the same, never out of shape, always in the gym. But he's just a genius, you know what I mean? He's a pleasure to watch. You know, I've sort of become more of a fan in the last sort of maybe 5 years with Mayweather, because you know, he sort of felt that he was sort of dodging people or waiting until they was past their prime, and but you know, I've followed his whole career and he is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he looks unbeatable. But in a Pacquiao Rios was made for Pacquiao.
Yeah.
You know, Rios is just, I mean, he's a brawler. You put him in a phone box. I mean, those two fights with Alvarado were two of my favourite fights.
Yeah, great fights.
But you ain't, you know, a speed merchant like Pacquiao, it made for him.
I
mean, Mayweather would destroy Rios. I mean, really knock him about. And I think I love Pacquiao. I think he's a great fighter. He's been great for the sport, and he's a decent human being. But I think if they made that fight, which they should make that fight, which they can make that fight now, I think he probably Freddie Roach pulls Pacquiao out in that fight late on.
How does Mayweather stack up against someone like Ray Leonard, Duran, those kind of guys?
Similar, aren't they? I think they're.
Can you live with them guys, you think?
Yeah, well, I think his record says I can't see anybody. I mean, if they made Golovkin, they would make Golovkin boil down to an unrealistic weight. He's the only sort of guy out there. I mean, Broner, absolutely no chance, and I don't blame him not wanting to fight him. You know, it's like me saying I don't want to fight Jess. Two good friends don't want to fight him. But yeah, you know what I mean? That's just nonsense, and he will get found out sooner or later. I mean, Medina might beat Broner.
That's a good fight, though. As well.
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, there's some cracking fights. There's some cracking fights coming up, and next year is going to be immense because we're going to. I hope they sort of make some kind of heavyweight competition. Yeah. You know, like a Super Six, but for heavyweights.
There's some good heavyweights out there. Pulev's looking quite good for.
Yeah. Not sure.
Yeah.
Not really sure if he's quite got it all, the whole package. But yeah, there's some good. I mean, it's more Europeans, incredibly, when you think that the Americans dominated that division for so many years.
Yeah.
That now there's not a. You know, I think Wilder's probably. I mean, Seth Mitchell was unfortunately another American footballing hype job.
Yeah.
I mean, a monster of a guy, but no chin. I think it's people struggle when they come from a non-boxing background. They all seem to struggle in the whiskers department.
They're not used to getting hit that much.
No, and I mean, when you're talking about Khan Mayweather, I mean, that is a disastrous fight if they make that fight.
Do you think Khan can cause them some problems with his speed and his?
Well, if you're saying that, then
movement?
you think Pacquiao would be able to cause
Yeah.
them. Who do you think's better, Pacquiao or Floyd or Khan?
Pacquiao's better.
Yeah,
Than, Khan,
I couldn't see Pacquiao beating Floyd.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if Khan's really truly got. Yeah, I mean, he's got the man speed, but when he comes in, he leaves his chin up in the air. So he sort of goes in well, and when he comes out of the exchange, chin's in the air, and he throws the jab, and as he throws the jab, his chin rises.
Up, yeah.
And that's like basic stuff.
Yeah. And that's Mayweather's just going to capitalise on that all night long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to bust him up.
Last question: how about young prospects or younger fighters that we may not know in the limelight at the moment? Any guys that you're watching, you're thinking could be big in the future?
Yeah, I think John Joe Nevin's going to have a great career. Obviously, the Olympians. I mean, we've got Gogo and Joshua. I watched Joshua's debut at the O2 and meant that guy is a beast.
Physically, he's amazing.
My
yeah.
God, what a specimen!
But he seems to already be learning,
getting better.
Right?
Yeah, getting better. I mean, he was a bit stiff. He reminded me a bit like an early Bruno.
Yeah.
You know, everything was a bit. And you got to watch those guys when they're that muscular, because they use so much energy. You look at the ultimate heavyweight body would be someone like Lewis, or the Klitschko's, long muscles. But yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time. I mean, we've done so well in the Europeans and in the Worlds and in the Olympics. We've got a lot of talent coming through in this country. It's going to be exciting the next few years.
That's fantastic. Chris, thanks so much
Pleasure.
for joining us here on Tungsten Tales. Don't forget to subscribe, youtube.com/TungstenTales. Follow us on Twitter @TungstenTales.